Hi, I'm Larry French, and we're really excited. We just can't tell you how excited we are about this fundamental program, and we're so happy that we can give it to you for free. Did I say free? But the fundamentals, man, I mean, you got to do the fundamentals. Your horse has to understand the fundamentals in order to not have problems down the road. You know, like buddy sire problems, head shy problems, control problems, being able to control your horse. It all starts building the foundation. You know, you got to start at the bottom. The fundamentals starting out, well, you know, if anybody, when I'm working with someone and they start talking about they can't control their horse, they can't control the speed and so forth like that, well, you know, you didn't build by not doing the fundamentals. And when I say fundamentals, I'm talking about groundwork. If you didn't do your groundwork, then you didn't build that relationship that you should have with your horse. You didn't build, there's so many different skills like feel, you know, learning how to feel that rope, learning how to apply pressure and release the pressure. Because a lot of you, you know, if you're having speed control problems, because you're just constantly pulling on the reins. But that's what we're going to go over in this program, and that's going to make things much better for you. The 5 zones. I'm going to talk about the 5 zones, and what that is we call it the 5 zones of resistance, because every horse problem comes because of resistance. And that's the 5 zones are the pole of the horse, which is going to have to do, has to do with collection and vertical softness. We'll talk about that. And then the neck, you know, if you don't have flexibility in the neck, then you're not going to have control either. The shoulders, wow, this is an area, even when someone does the groundwork, they don't do the shoulders. You know, it just blows my mind. Even a lot of trainers, they skip the shoulders. And so we're going to go over that. This is such a, you know, area that a horse will totally dominate you at, and you'll never even realize it's the shoulders. You'll be blaming it on, you know, something else, when the whole time it was the shoulders. So, and then the rib cage. You know, we all have to know how to yield our leg yield our horse. There's so many, even people that's been riding for a long time can't do a side pass or a leg yield. Man, we got to be able to use those legs and control that horse with our legs so we can get our hands out of the mouth of the horse. We've got to bring, you know, I always say everybody uses 80% of their communication with their hands, with the bit. We got to change that. We got to change it where it's 20% with our hands and 80% with our legs and our seat and our body. So, let's see, rib cage. Okay, hindquarters. Okay, this is the power. This is where all the power comes from. When you're having problems like with the shoulders, it's because our horse sticks that shoulder out there, and that's the direction he wants to go. And he's going to, most of the time, he's going to get it, or he's going to make your ride miserable, because he's got the power of the hindquarters pushing that shoulder. So these are the things we're going to go over. And we're really going to expect you to practice this, not just once, not just twice, you know, to keep on going until this next problem that people have, and that's not understanding their body language, not knowing when the horse is relaxed, not when let's say for an example, you back your horse up, okay? He backs up good for you, or he takes the 3 or 4 steps you want, but then what? Is he in a relaxed state? Is he in a willing state? Is he like, hey, that's cool, let's do it again? Is he saying that to you? Or is he saying, or is he like, stiff and like, I'm just going to stay here to protect myself because I'm not sure what the next thing is that this guy's going to ask me. This is extremely important. We do, some of us do these fundamentals, but we leave them in a negative state of mind. And then we have all kinds of problems in the saddle. Well, we have to go back, and the number one thing we have to start working on when we're doing these is trust. We have to have it in our mind that we're not looking for perfection on how well they do it, but we're looking for how much they trust us by doing it for us. So we'll go over that, and then I'm going to teach you this 1 to 10 adrenaline chart that I use. And I tell you, it's for your horse, and it's also for you. And I think it's really going to help you. It's going to help you, especially on your awareness. When you get started with your horse, and you're going to rate your horse from 1 to 10 on his adrenaline. Is he hyper? Is his head up? Is he tight? So then you'll have an idea of where your horse is from the inside, not the outside, and you'll be prepared for that. And then the other is rating yourself. Where are you at? Do you have some fear? Do you have some adrenaline? And if you do, you may be a 7, an 8, or a 9, or even a 10. Then you need to be aware of that, and so you can bring your body down to a neutral position, 5. And that's where we want the horse to go to too, is a 5. Mindset. We can't start anything without a good positive mindset. We also have to know the mindset is going to give us a direction. Is our direction going to be, if he doesn't do it, I'm going to give up. If he does this, I'm going to be afraid to continue. Or is our mindset going to be, this is my outcome. I want 6 good steps, and I want my horse to finish in a trusting state of mind. All you got to do is set that mindset, and it will happen. I promise you, it will happen. And then I'm going to go over with you focus language and body language. This is really important. Staying focused on your horse. Your language is going to be what you're saying to yourself as you're working with your horse. Boy, I'm a little bit afraid, or I don't think my horse is going to do this. Things like that. And then just words. My horse is stupid. My horse is stubborn. That's going to put you into it's going to put your body language more tense. And it's going to show, we got like 80 muscles in our face, and the horse will read all of that. I'm telling you the truth. The horse will read it, and so it's important. That's just by these words that we take in. So anyway, more about that later. Have a great time. Look. If you get in there, I'm not saying you can't struggle, but just make sure you struggle forward. Move ahead and make some mistakes, okay? And don't, you're not by yourself. Send us a comment. Send us a question. Let us help you. Send me a video. I'll watch the video. I'll call you back on the phone, and we'll talk about it. We want you to be successful, and you are going to be, okay? All right. Have a great time. God bless you. God bless your passion, the horse. Hey, I'm Larry French, and this is Sonny, and I'm so glad to finally be with you. This has really been a job for us, trying to get this thing where we can get it in your hands. I tell you, Rhonda and I both have ulcers over this. But no, finally, you should be getting this afternoon, and we're really excited for you. We've been in this business for so long, and so because we serve people and we want to serve you, we get a lot of questions, and what we've done is we've taken 5 of the what we consider the top questions that people are struggling with, and then we're going to teach you release and pressure and release of pressure, and approach and retreat. And these are really the 2 tools, or I guess you could say 4, but 2 sets of tools that you're going to use. I mean, that's basically it, you know. And we're going to go through that here in a little bit, and then we're going to go through the zones of resistance, what we call the zones, 5 zones of resistance. And so, you know, it's kind of interesting. We had a guy the other day call us, and he was going to look at a horse that was for sale. And he was told that it was a pretty good horse, and it's probably what he's looking for. So he went over there, and the horse was, I'm thinking, was in a round pen, and the horse was snorting and pawing at him and stuff like that. You know, this is the thing. If we would have known a little more about horse psychology and why the horse could have been doing that, then, you know, who knows, it might have been the best horse he ever bought. But because he didn't know it, he made the best decision, and that was just to back off and maybe look for something else. But there could have been, you know, the horse just wanted out of the round pen, and if they would have taken him out, he might have settled down and really been nice. But then that would have also told you that he probably had a buddy sire issue that he was going to have to work with, and if this guy, you know, wasn't skilled enough to work with those kind of issues, then it would have just been a long drawn out process and possibly someone getting hurt. And so it's great, it's good to know these skills, and we hope that this is going to help you, and that you will also stay in contact with us so that we can help you progress and get to the next level and keep moving forward. Okay, the first question is, why is my horse always looking away instead of giving me his attention? You know, this could be leading your horse, or even mainly riding your horse. There's many times that when you're riding, the horse's head is so busy looking both directions. Well, what this is, it's not your horse being stubborn or anything like that. What it is he's just saying, hey, well, let's say if I'm riding him and he's doing that, he's saying, hey, Larry, I'm looking out for the boogeyman, okay, so we don't get hurt. It's his instinct saying that I've got to be number one. The horse has to be number one, and the rider is number 2. Because I haven't done enough yet to build that trust for him to trust me to keep him safe. And these exercises that we're going to show you, if you stay at it and stay with them, you're going to build that trust, because that's the number one thing we want to look for, is trust first. We don't want to go in there and we don't want to say, we want our horse to respect us. We want our horse to trust us. Okay? Don't forget that. Don't get into that respect stuff. Just trust me. Okay? If you follow what we're going to show you today, you're going to see a huge change. Now, once you start doing that and figuring out and learning how to communicate with your horse while on the ground and in the saddle is extremely important, then you're going to start getting your horse's attention. Okay? All right, second question. Why my horse doesn't stand still? He's always moving. Okay? Well, most of the time, again, here we go back to trust. And maybe, this problem could have come up from the previous owner. Maybe they were... my poor horse is getting eat up with flies. Maybe the saddle was too tight, wasn't the correct size. on him, and it's very uncomfortable for him. He was always staying sore. So it doesn't matter if it's a different person. If you've got that saddle in your hand, the horse is not going to forget about it. You know, he's always going to remember that. And so sometimes that could be the reason. It could be the bit. You know, maybe you're riding too heavy with your hands, and you just need to loosen up some. You're constantly applying pressure to his mouth. That could be another reason because he's knowing that the pain is coming. So he just wants to ease away from you. Another thing could be your saddle's just way too tight. You know, don't make a peanut out of him. And even if you want it pretty, you know, snub, when you put your saddle on and you go to cinch him just a little bit at a time. If your horse is cinchy, this is how you get them out of it. You just cinch them up, and if the horse's head turns to look at you, then you release the pressure. See, when you cinch it, you're applying pressure, and then you release it quickly. And then the horse will go, okay, and he'll turn his head away. And you just kind of just keep doing that, and then eventually your horse will be, okay, I'm cool. So back to tightening your saddle, just do it a little bit at a time, then do it a little bit more. And I'll tell you what I like to do. Every time I cinch my saddle or tighten it, my cinch, I always like kind of walking him around in a little circle, just letting him get comfortable to that feel. Okay, and then I'll come back and I'll do it again. Usually with Sonny or Digger or one of my horses, 2 times is all I need to do it. If I'm with a new horse or if I'm starting a colt, and you know, I may do it 4, 5, 6 times. Just whatever it takes for this guy to feel good and to feel comfortable. Okay, so these are just some tips, and I guarantee you it's some of the problems. One other thing, if you wear spurs and you really don't know how to use spurs, you could constantly be sticking that spur in him, you know. And the toe of your boot, if you've got, even on these square toes, I'm always careful that when I put my foot in the stirrup and I go up, I've got that foot turned. And sometimes if I'm getting on a horse that's a little bit spooky, I'll even kind of turn my foot to the side. And what that does is that's going to help my foot get out of that stirrup if I need to take it out really quick. So that's another good tip for you. But when you put your foot in that stirrup, turn that foot this way so the toe is not pushing him in the side. And those spurs, man. I was doing a clinic in, I can't remember the town now, in Texas, a few years ago, and a lady had spurs, and her horse was constantly just couldn't keep him still. She was in the saddle. She had trouble getting on him, and once she got on him, the horse is constantly trying to move. And finally, after a couple of hours, I went up to her and I said, look, I said, you know, your spurs, you're just constantly keeping you. Oh, no, I'm not. I keep them out. You know, I'm aware of that. I only use them when I need to. I said, ma'am, your spurs are in him all the time. I said, she just argued with me. And I said, well, would you just mind taking them off and just so that I'll know it's not the spurs? And she said, yeah, I'll do that. I mean, this lady really wanted to prove me wrong, and I understood that. So we took it off, and the horse was just, I mean, he didn't move an inch. So, you know, hey, I think there's a use for spurs. You know, you don't see me wearing them all the time. I only use them when I need them. And so, anyway, that's just another thing. Okay. The third question, why is my horse hard to lead? Okay, we're going to talk about pressure and release of pressure here as soon as we're done with these questions. And but getting your horse to lead, you know, a lot of us think that when we put the halter and the lead rope on, our horse is halter broke. Well, he's not. If he's not leading, he's not halter broke. Okay? All right? So this is where we apply pressure, and as soon as the horse moves, you notice I released it quickly. All right? So again, it's a trust issue. You know, your horse is like, I don't want to follow you. I want to stay right here. And I got some shade right here, man. I want to stay in the shade. Or maybe he doesn't just want to leave his friends or whatever. But we got to build that trust, and we're going to use pressure and release of pressure and approach and retreat to build trust also. Okay? All right. It's going to be cool. Hang in there. All right. The next question. Why is my horse bucking, rearing, and hard to control? Now, this is a very common question. Okay, so, sometimes what it is the horse is uncomfortable. It could be mentally or it could be physically. Okay? Back to the trust issue. If we don't build the trust in the horse, then when you get out there, you may ride good until he sees maybe some high grass, or he's seeing a dark area, maybe along a fence row or something, and he just doesn't feel comfortable walking in that high grass, or along that fence road in that shade. And that's just because he doesn't trust you. And when you get to that threshold, man, he's just like, no way, Jose. I'm going to buck so I can turn around and get away. And so or it could be the saddle. Let me tell you, one day I was riding Digger from the barn to the arena, and we worked on some exercises. We had a great session, great ride. And we're coming back, and Digger stops. I mean, he just stops. So I'm like, okay, Dig, what's up, dude? And I asked him to go again, politely, and he's not moving. And so I asked him one more time, and he did not move. So I'm like, well, this isn't normal for him. Besides, we're headed back home, right? He's ready to get back home and eat. So, now what I could have done, I could have gotten mad, and I could have kicked him right in the ribs. I could have just whipped him over and under him with my reins. I could have done that, but I didn't, thank goodness. And so I get off. That's what I done. I got off, and I checked him. I checked the saddle. I checked the bridle. Everything was correct. The back cinch, the hobble was still on, and the back cinch and the front cinch was, in the right spot. And I'm like, dang. So I get back on and I ask him again. He's not moving. So now I'm like, boy. So something told me, get off and look again. So I did. I get off, and this time I get a little bit closer to him, and I look at his back legs, and they're covered in ants. I mean, they were eating this poor horse up. So I immediately got the ants off his legs and got back in the saddle, and we rode off. So Digger could have chose, if I'd have got rough with him, then yeah, he'd have probably went to bucking or rearing or doing something to get me off. And if he'd have bucked me off, I would have deserved it. But, more than likely, what do? We want to blame our horse. Oh, you just can't believe what my horse did. Now I got to take him to a trainer. Okay? All right. So our fifth question is, why is my horse always keeping his head up? Now, why is the horse's head and his instinct telling him to keep his head up? It's because of fear. There's something the horse is not comfortable with. He feels like he's not safe. There's a threshold, and he just can't go past it. So this is this is telling you it's either mental or it's physical. It could be something that he doesn't It's an area of maybe tall grass, just something as simple as you're walking in short grass, now you're going in tall grass, and he doesn't trust you enough that there could be a mountain lion or something in that grass to get him. So the other thing that I see mostly is that people are just too heavy-handed with their reins. And when they do release, the horse's head's up here, so the horse now is getting his release up here. The comfort is coming to him up here. So the problem, so we need to learn how to simply just apply pressure here, and you can see how Sonny just easily lowers his head. And this is where our release is down. My release is here. So that's where he's going to start going for that release of pressure. Okay? All right, great. We'll be right back with the next section. Thank you.